click off immediately if you do not want to know spoilers of the Obi-Wan-Kenobi show. I know I have spoilers in the title, but just in case, because this is a very important show to the Star Wars world and to Star Wars fans, if you don't want spoilers, you should not be here. I don't necessarily want to call this a review. I'm going to call this a reaction because there's only 2 episodes out right now. I can't give a review on the whole show. Sure, I could give a review on the 2 episodes. I don't think I'm really going to do that though. I just want to talk about what we have been given so far and what I hope to see in the next 4 episodes of Obi-Wan-Kenobi. I don't want everyone to be waiting in bated breath. I will just tell you right now, I'm really enjoying the show. I like the first 2 episodes. I thought it captured a lot of true and old school Star Wars details. Yes, I have my issues. I'm not going to lie about that, but Star Wars does feel like Star Wars in these past 2 episodes. First of all, I will say having Ewan McGregor back is unreal. The emotion I'm getting is what everyone similar to my age is getting. Anyone who's 20 to 30, maybe even 35 years old is getting the emotion of seeing our old school Star Wars actors come back to play a prominent role. And who other than Ewan McGregor? Easily the best actor in the prequel trilogy, a great, phenomenal actor in the first place, and somebody who loves the Obi-Wan character so much that he absolutely loved the idea of coming back to play such a loved character in Star Wars. At the end of the day, when you look at the top 3, 5, 10 Star Wars characters of all time, Obi-Wan is probably top 2. And if he's not number 1, he's number 2, just behind Darth Vader. Now, episode 1 starts off hot with an Order 66 scene. And this is something I've been talking about for a while whenever I happen to make Obi-Wan videos on my channel. I've been saying that I had feelings they were going to do an Order 66 scene. Now, of course, that scene is maybe a minute and a half. It's not long at all. We probably will have more Order 66 flashbacks, and I'm really hoping we do get one where we see Anakin raiding the temple. That would be awesome. But the fact that they were willing to already give you an Order 66 scene right at the beginning of the show, I do really hope that that means they're willing to give us flashback scenes of the Clone Wars in general. Maybe Obi-Wan and Anakin together fighting side by side, or even if it's a simple conversation that we never got to see them have in 1 through 3. What was so good about these first 2 episodes, especially the first episode, was the deep depression you see Obi-Wan in. You can tell that for the past 10 years, he's been living a pointless, boring routine. Waking up, riding into town on his space camel, taking a train into town to chop up some dirty fish meat, taking a train back into town, and taking his camel right back to his rocky hut. Not only is that repetitious life boring, but you also got to think, like, what's his payment? What's his wage for a job like that? He ain't living the luxury he'd be living in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. But also, he's living on Tatooine, one of the scummiest places in the Star Wars galaxy. It's not a fun place to be. It's definitely not a safe place to be. But what Ewan McGregor is doing in the Obi-Wan role, that's really capturing his depression. It's not what the show is showing you on how he's been living his life. It is simply the mannerisms and the acting techniques that Ewan McGregor is using to show to you he's depressed, to show to you he is not happy in this life, and to show to you that he is still letting his past mistakes judge his future. I gotta say, one of the best scenes of the show so far is when he's sleeping and he's having the bad dreams about Anakin turning to the dark side and him killing Anakin on Mustafar, his failure as his mentor, his master, his brother, his friend. And when he wakes up in a cold sweat, he calls out for Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon doesn't answer him. It shows that he cannot let go and let the past be the past. And I mean, when you're in a position like him, how could you just let go what happened? I don't care if it's 10, 30, 50 years ago. That is such a monumental moment, Revenge of the Sith, that is going to stick with you for the rest of your life. Especially Obi-Wan being a Jedi Master. He was on the council. He was one of the top dogs in the entire Jedi Order. Those moments are never gonna leave him, and he's never gonna really or truly feel good about it. That whole scene just shows that he's cut himself off from the Force. He's rusty. He's not the same. He can't necessarily use the Force the way he used to. He can't fight with a lightsaber maybe as good as he used to. So when he calls out to Qui-Gon, there's no answer because he's not ready for it. He's not prepared for it. He hasn't been meditating enough. I just love that scene so much, and it is a testament to what the future of the show is going to be. Let's talk a little bit about the Inquisitors. And so far, the most prominent Inquisitors we have seen yet is the Grand Inquisitor himself, the fifth brother, and of course this new Inquisitor, Reva, who I think they've been calling her third sister. There's still a lot we don't know about Inquisitors, and every single time they come out with more Inquisitor content in the Star Wars universe, it always feels like they're doing something new. Now, I'm pretty sure there's 7 sisters, 7 brothers, and of course, the Grand Inquisitor. I feel like the way the Inquisitors work is once one Inquisitor dies or becomes obsolete, maybe Vader kills him the way he killed Trilla in Jedi Fallen Order. Maybe what they do is they take another Force-sensitive Inquisitor so that they can take that spot of the dead second sister or the fifth brother. I have no doubt Reva is going to die in this show, and in the future, she gets replaced with a different third sister. So that leads me into how do I feel about the Reva character, and how do I feel about the representation of the Inquisitors so far? I'm going to save this near the end of the video because I want to talk a little bit more about Reva and something I really don't like about the character. Do I hate Reva? No. Do I love Reva? No. I'm 50-50 on the character. So far, I do think the show could have worked without her. Then again, there's 4 episodes. I will save full judgment for the end of the show. We'll see what happens. As for the Grand Inquisitor, played by Rupert Friend, I think it was a good choice. And I think so far he's been a pretty cool addition into the show. I do think that the model for the character, especially the frame of the head, I think it's a little too bulky. With today's technology and art and makeup, there is a way you could have made the Inquisitor more narrow like he was in Rebels. I am very happy they gave him the yellow eyes instead of just giving him regular eyes. That was a really good call to change that up. I will also save his character a little more to the end because we need to talk about what happens at the end of episode 2. Now, it seems like the leaks were true about Obi-Wan needing to embark on a mission to save Princess Leia. And speaking of Princess Leia, the little girl, the actress they got, is awesome. Not only is she super adorable, but she carries the attitude of Princess Leia from 4, 5, and 6. So many mannerisms and actions and dialogue pieces Leia has had in this show so far goes to show where her attitude really comes from when you now watch 4, 5, and 6. The casting could not have been better for that kid, and so far she's kind of had some of my favorite moments in these first 2 episodes. We all wanted to know how Obi-Wan was gonna end up encountering Darth Vader. How Darth Vader was finally gonna come out of the shadows, or more accurately, the Bacta tank, and he was gonna find Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan finally made himself known to the wider galaxy. And that obviously is a ploy used by Reva to get Princess Leia out in the open, which would cause Obi-Wan to save her. Now, this Leia plot can't stick around forever. The last thing you can do is write a story where Vader has knowledge that he has a daughter. He doesn't find that out until episode 6. Now, when Obi-Wan goes to the crime-ridden world in episode 2, I love the scene where he sees a clone trooper begging for money in the streets. And it's not just any regular clone trooper. This is a clone who was amongst Vader's 501st. He was in Vader's fist. Even those clones are disrespected by being thrown out of the ranks of the Empire and left on the streets to starve and die. It was a fantastic moment of putting real heart back into the Star Wars universe to really remind you that the events of episodes 3 to 6 are not hopeful and filled with sunshine and rainbows. It's very, very depressing, dark, and dangerous. Now, regardless if that is the last time we will see Temuera Morrison as a clone in this show, it was just a really cool moment to have him appear as a clone who's suffering from the after effects of the war, and to have Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan and Temuera Morrison's clone troopers react with each other at least one last time on screen. Now, whereas I will say the Leia chase scene with Obi-Wan isn't the best, there are a couple of moments in the show where the filming and the editing are not the best. Some of it comes from this chase scene. I mean, for every 10 steps that this little Leia takes, Obi-Wan only needs to take one step to reach her. I don't necessarily think this should have been as hard of a chase as they made it seem to be. Then again, this isn't a moment where it's gonna ruin the episode for me. I think it's just simply, if I was the filmmaker for the episode, I would have done something different. But what I do like is when Obi-Wan is being chased down by these mercenaries and she jumps off to the next building, but then Leia falls down, grabs onto a wire. Obi-Wan needs to save her life, and this shows how cut off from the Force he has been these past 10 years. The fact that he hasn't honed his Force abilities. It was a difficult moment for him to catch Leia, but it was also a beautiful moment because he is finally becoming the man he always has been, a Jedi Master Obi-Wan-Kenobi. And even though in the next episode he might be a little rusty with his Jedi and Force ability skills, this just shows that it can only go up from here. He's going to become more powerful through meditation and more prepared for his eventual fight with Darth Vader. Now, whereas I have really enjoyed this show, let's talk about the two things I didn't like. And these two issues come from the Reva character. It is clear that Reva has been written as a character to be extremely frustrating and annoying. She's also very entitled. So my first issue is what she does to the Grand Inquisitor. The fact that she was capable of getting away with stabbing him in the stomach. Guys, we're talking about the Grand Inquisitor. Hey, I'm not going to sit here and say the Grand Inquisitor is the top dog. I'm not going to sit here and say Grand Inquisitor is one of the most powerful beings in the universe of Star Wars history, but he's still the Grand Inquisitor. If you're telling me he can't handle a grunt Inquisitor like Reva in blocking a lightsaber attack, or at least not even preparing his mind to know that she was going to stab him, why is he the Grand Inquisitor? I don't think there's any way the Grand Inquisitor would have let that happen to himself, especially when you look back at his history as a Jedi Temple guard. I'm sorry, it doesn't add up. That does not make sense. Overall, we do feel very confused with the decision to have Reva stab the Grand Inquisitor through the stomach. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the species that the Grand Inquisitor is, they have 2 stomachs. So more than likely he is just injured and he's gonna rest up in a Bacta tank and he'll be good to go. Also too, we've seen in Star Wars history, how many times do people get cut in half or stabbed or injured by a lightsaber? And they're still alive anyways. But I have been seeing a lot of comments and already some early theories that maybe this isn't the Grand Inquisitor and that he is actually dead and is eventually replaced by the real Grand Inquisitor, the one that we see in Rebels. Come on, I'm sorry, that sounds so ridiculous to me and so far-fetched to the point where it's not even worth it. Why in the world would you get 2 Grand Inquisitors who look literally identical to one another? I just don't understand that thought process. I don't know why people are suddenly clinging on to that idea. And if that idea does end up happening, that's just going to be straight up ridiculous in the worst ways possible. So far, the disciplinary actions with Reva have been a little frustrating. Think about it here. You're dark side users. Yes, you may not be considered Sith because there can only be the rule of 2, dose, but you are still relying on the powers of the dark side. So why in the world is the Grand Inquisitor not punishing Reva the way a dark side user would? Choke her a little bit, torture her if you got to, force lightning, something. That is what dark side users do to one another. They want direct obedience and demand over the person that they oversee, which is why I don't understand how Reva has been able to get this upper hand on the Grand Inquisitor in these past 2 episodes so far. And then as for issue number 2, I don't like that she knows Darth Vader is Anakin, because it's always been to my understanding that nobody is supposed to know Anakin is Darth Vader and vice versa. The only people in the galaxy who know Anakin is Vader is Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Palpatine. I can't even remember if Tarkin knows Anakin is Vader. I'm pretty sure Thrawn might know, but that's only dealt in the books, of course, because that's mainly where we only see Thrawn other than Rebels. If there are other people who know Anakin is Vader, that is pretty much only dealt with in comic books or other novels that isn't really mentioned much to begin with. The fact that Reva knows Vader is Anakin is already a huge issue for me in the character relationship between her and Vader. That is information that Anakin would never let leave outside of his own suit. The only reason why Palpatine knows is because it's his master, and his master is more powerful than him due to the massive metal suit that he's trapped in. And then Yoda and Obi-Wan know, but of course, Darth Vader can't do anything about them because he doesn't know where to locate them. I just can't stop thinking that if Vader knew that Reva knew, he would kill Reva. Reva's just a low-life Inquisitor. He doesn't care. They can find some other Force user to take her place, which clearly happens in the history of the Inquisitors moving forward into the future. So that is something that doesn't sit right with me. I don't really like that. And the fact that she can read Force abilities, we need to know more about that. I need to understand what type of capabilities this means for her, because was she maybe capable of reading Darth Vader on who he was without Darth Vader knowing, which that also doesn't really sit right with me either, because Vader would be able to tell through the Force that she knows. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. But you know what? Speaking about Vader, that was pretty sick, my guy. That was pretty dope. Not a huge fan of how Obi-Wan learns that Anakin is still alive. I think it should have been done differently. But of course, it is only 6 episodes. They can't waste time on this. Although I do think it would have been really cool if Obi-Wan encountered Vader for the first time, and during the fight, that's how he found out it was still Anakin. Although regardless, the way he truly finds out in the episode is very haunting, and it's also very saddening. The show is sad all around so far. So when Obi-Wan is laying up against the door of the ship as they fly away, learning that it's Anakin, as Obi-Wan says Anakin, it cuts to Darth Vader in a Bacta tank as he opens his eyes. We're getting to the point of Obi-Wan and Vader finally coming face to face. This is gonna be awesome. I cannot wait. It is going to be so amazing getting Obi-Wan and Vader back on screen together. Something we haven't seen since A New Hope, so 1977. I see a lot of people who have loved the show so far, like I have, but I do see a lot of people who haven't liked the second episode for specific reasons. Say what you will about that, but you cannot argue with how awesome the episode ends, and it leaves us so anticipated for Wednesday's third episode. So there's my thoughts for the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan. In my opinion, the most important show, the most important piece of content that has come out from Star Wars since Revenge of the Sith. You get this show wrong and Star Wars is going to find itself in a very bad place. So far with the first 2 episodes, I'm not disappointed. These next 4 episodes are going to have a ton of awesome moments, a ton of great surprises. There's even chances that this Obi-Wan show is going to have some tie-ins and parallels with other content coming out right now. Maybe other shows, video games, books, movies will be able to find a way to tie into this Obi-Wan show and Obi-Wan vice versa. Because this was not technically a review video, I'm gonna wait for this entire show to end, and then I will make a final review when the entire show is finished. I might make videos about the individual episodes that come out as maybe discussion or reaction videos to talk about what I think about the show going forward, but the review will be saved till the end. Now guys, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the first 2 episodes and what you think is going to happen or what you hope to see happen in the future of the show. But anyways everyone, that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and just like every Star Wars video on this channel ends.
Obi-Wan, may the Force be with you.
Goodbye, old friend. May the Force be with you.